Okay. Hi everyone. This is Anders from MagPlus Support in Stockholm, Sweden. I'm taking over for Mike today to tell you about how to implement HTML into your app using the MagPlus plugin. Just a side note to start off with is that you can actually change the quality of your video if you're on a computer down in the right bottom of the screen. So, let's start out with the basics, I think. First of all, we can go through what to remember when you're using HTML in the MagPlus apps. So, number one, gestures. And when I say gestures, I refer to what the reader has to do in order to navigate the app. Some classic MagPlus gestures are, for example, scrolling up and down, swipe to get to the next page, double tap to remove and show the A layer, or short tap to bring up the scrubber menu, or long tap to bring up the scrubber menu. The problem is that the HTML objects take away these gestures and replaces them with their own ones. For example, in the review app we have an example of it. If we go to Inspiration 2 and we go down the page here, we can find an HTML object right here. This is just the HTML scrolling object. And if I click next to it, just a short tap, I'm able to bring up the menu. But if I click on the HTML object right here, nothing happens. Just, yeah, the gestures are, all the MagPlus gestures doesn't work. So that's something to remember when you're using HTML. Especially, I recommend not to place a HTML object covering the whole screen, because that could make it hard to navigate the app for the reader sometimes, depending on how you actually program the HTML code. And another thing to remember is that when HTML objects are exported from the plugin, in regular cases with regular images, the plugin resizes the images to fit the size of the iPad. But when it comes to HTML objects, the plugin doesn't touch the assets of the HTML object, which are the images. This means that you actually have to resize the images to the correct size in order to fit the iPad. I'm going to go a little bit deeper into this shortly, so you'll know what I'm talking about. And that's it for now, I think. I'll probably give you some good tips along the way, but for now I think we're good. So let's get started. You can put in any kind of HTML5 objects into your design. But to simplify this, we at MagPlus, we offer you this online HTML feature builder, which you can find at feature.magplus.com. These are the projects you can create with the feature builder. You have gallery with thumbnails, slideshow with swipe, image sequence, online content, and pinch and zoom. And we also have web feed, which is basically that you can bring in a feed from a web page into your app, which I'm also going to show you later on. But let's start out with going to feature.magplus.com. And here we log in using our MagPlus credentials. There we go. And as you see, my start page, I already have some projects here. These are the projects I've done before. Your start page is probably empty if you haven't done this before, if you haven't been using the feature builder before. But you can always go in and edit these old objects again and reuse them and change images that you have been uploading and do whatever you want with them. And you have two choices here, images and web feed. These are basically images you're using to create these kind of features, and the web feed button you use to create a web feed, of course. So let's start out with, we're going to create a slideshow now. Slideshow. I put in the name for my project and also a description maybe. This is just for you, so slideshow for demo purpose. And here we come to the tricky part I was talking about before, about that the plugin doesn't really resize the images for your HTML objects. This means that we actually have to get the size right now in order to make it look good on the iPad and save space for the final MIB that we're exporting. So let's go to InDesign, and here we go. I've prepared a little bit here. As you can see, I'm just gonna start off from the beginning here, so we're doing everything in the right order. This is where I've decided I want to place my slideshow, in this object right here. And the size of this object is, in the template that I'm using, is 390.614 wide. Now comes the tricky part. The resolution of the iPad is 132 dpi. The resolution on the template is 72 dpi. This means that you have to actually make these images that you're going to use in the HTML object bigger. So in order to do this, we first need to know what we need to multiply the size of the object in the template with in order to get it the right size on the iPad. So to do this, we had 132 dpi on the iPad and 72 dpi on the template. If we divide 132 by 72, we get 1.83. I'm just going to bring up the calculator here. So here we go. We divide 132 by 72, and we get 1.83333, but you can basically round it up to 1.83. So this is what you're going to multiply the size of the object in the template with all the time. So as I said, we have the width here of the object. It's 390.614 pixels wide. So we take this size here that we had, 390.6114, and we take that times 1.83, and we get 714.82. So this is the size we put in the feature builder here on the width of the content. And next step is to get the height of the content. And here, the height of this object that we have here is 215 pixels. So we need to multiply that by 1.83 in order to get it the right size. 215 times 1.83. And we get 393.5, I would say. 393.45 then, just to make it perfect. 300, okay, here we go, 45. And when we're done with this, we just click next. Now we've decided the content size, and so we need to decide what feature to choose. And as I said, we're going to do a slideshow now, so I select slideshow. The next step is to upload images. And these are the images that are going to show in your slideshow, of course. and I've prepared some here. Swipe. I've got some images I want to be in Slideshow. Here you can see them uploading. And what the feature builder actually does is that it's resizing the images after what you decided what size, the content size of your project. So these can be bigger than the content size we just wrote in the step before. And it resizes the images, and if the images don't have the same ratio, it actually crops the images so correctly. You're going to see here soon what I mean. So I click save when I have uploaded all the images. And here we go. Here we got some settings, and we also have the uploaded images. The images that I just uploaded, I can actually move them around in order to get them in the order I wish. And while I'm down here, I can also add some captions to it that I want the user to be able to click on the image and show some captions. So just for I just enter something here now. It doesn't really matter. Oops. Just for you to see what actually happens. I forgot to save on the earlier one. Here we go. Just for 3 of them, save. Here we go, and you can see here that I've added captions to the image. And up here you can see you can click settings, and you can see this. It disappears if I click settings again, and now I have all the settings here for my project. Here I can decide the theme, the background color, and I also can upload a background image, and I can also upload a content mask, which I'm going to show you later. And also I can change the swipe icon. I'm not going to do this now, but you can make some really beautiful stuff out of this. And you can also change the options here for browsing and the snap speed, and also where to put this swipe icon that we have uploaded here. And also you can upload another caption button. This is the button you press in order to get the caption up. And actually you don't click the button, it just shows you that it is a caption on this image. I'm going to show you later. And when I'm happy with all my settings, oh, you can change the font here as well if you want to. And you can change the text size and caption position and everything. I'm actually going to change mine to top left this time. And you also can change the button position. Well, before you actually download the project that you have created, you can preview it just by clicking preview. And this is what we just created. It doesn't look good, this with the swipe icon over the info button, so I'm going to change that. So here's my swiping. I can click here for the button to bring up the caption. Can go to the next and bring up the caption again. So as I said, I wasn't really happy with the caption icon, the swipe icon, so I'm going to change that to top right and do a preview. There we go. So it instantly changed. So now we're happy with our slideshow, I would say. So then I click export. Oh, by the way, you can always go in and afterwards and change the size of your content and name and project info. You can even change the feature if you want to. So you can reuse these images for another project. Anyway, I'm happy with this, so I'm just going to click export. And what happens now is that I'm downloading a folder which includes the HTML object I've just created, along with the assets for it, all the images it's pointing to. etc. I'm going to show you this soon. Here you go. And here I have my HTML object where I want this slideshow to be. So in order to do this, I need to change the object type from block to HTML. And then here under URL, I need to put I need to point to the HTML file I've just downloaded from Feature Builder. So here we go. We need to find the file I've just downloaded. And as you see, this is my downloads folder, and the build was downloaded under the name build. Yeah, the folder was downloaded under build. The next folder you will download will be called build 2 or something. And here within this folder, you can see that we have the index.html file. This is the file I want to point to. This is a layout image of the design I've just created. And this is the assets folder, containing some JavaScript and also the images I created. One important thing to remember, as I said before, the plugin doesn't touch the assets or anything that within the index.html folder. This means that if you have, for example, a Photoshop file in this folder, it will be exported with the final with your design, which means that if the PSD file is really big, the application will probably crash because it's going to overload the memory of the iPad. And while we're talking about the memory of the iPad, is that we recommend you not to go over about 5 megabyte of assets in your HTML file, because then it might be a little bit difficult especially for iPads 1 to handle the HTML file. Anyway, I was supposed to select the HTML file here. Here we go. I'll select the HTML file. And here we have some choices now. We have resize and rotate. We're not going to use this now. We're going to use it later. I'm going to show you how to use it. Scale contents to fit block. I'm not going to use this for now because I know this is the perfect size. This can actually be used if you want to make the image smaller, but I recommend when you're playing around with images in HTML that you make them the correct size from the beginning, so you save a lot of space for your final MIB. And here we also have a box that's called transparent. This means that if the HTML object you just put in here, if it doesn't have a background in the object, like for example a white background, if you uncheck this box, the HTML object will still have a background even though it doesn't have it in the HTML code. But if you check the transparent box, you can have a PNG image here and there won't be a white box surrounding it. You can of course play around with this as well. And now I'm going to do a fast review of this, and I'm going to bring up my simulator. Yes, here's my slideshow. Faster than I thought. And here I got the info button and everything works smoothly. You can't bring up the scrubber here because that's the HTML object. Here I can bring up the scrubber. And as you can see here, this is a little bit of a problem with the HTML objects, is that they won't show in the thumbnail. So to avoid this, you see here in the thumbnail that it's just a white spot here where the slideshow is. So to fix this, you simply have to do this, that you select the HTML object right there, and then you place an image in it. on a Mac you press Command D. And this is what the layout image is used for, that you got with the build that you downloaded from Feature Builder. So I simply place my layout image in here, and then I do a fast review. And here we go. Now we got the thumbnail here, and everything looks good. Everything works. Another thing to remember when you're playing around with HTML is that in this design, I've placed everything on the B layer. Nothing in this design is placed on the A layer. So I made a choice of disabling the A layer by clicking No A layer. If I uncheck this box, and I can actually show you, if I uncheck this box and do a fast review, here you can see that I'm not able to touch this object, because the A layer is actually covering this object. So what I had to do is to disable the A layer by double clicking, and now I'm able to touch the slideshow and play around with the slideshow. So for a better user experience, I recommend you to always place your HTML objects on the correct layer and making it clear where the user can touch it and so on. I think that's it for the slideshow. Next up, I'm going to show you how to another feature that we have on Feature Builder, which is called image sequence. I've actually prepared a sample for this, because when you're creating both a slideshow, image sequence, all these projects, it's pretty straightforward. Just upload your images that you wish to include in the feature, and then you enter the size and everything of the content. But once you've done that, the setup is all the same, and you can go in and change the settings and play around with it. And here I already have an image sequence ready. Here we go. And as you can see, it's a rotating bag. And we can play around with the settings here. First of all, I'm going to show you what the image sequence actually does. So here I prepared it. I've got my object, HTML object here, which I linked to an index file that I downloaded from Feature Builder. And here we go. We got the rotating bag right here. And as you can see, I can swipe over it and make it rotate as I want. This is a really good way of showing products, and well, you can show video sequences and image. You can take a batch of images out of a video and make it swipeable, which is really cool. And as you can see, this feature, I just downloaded this from here. It's actually just 26 images of this rotating bag. So it's really easy to do and make it really smooth. And you can select all the sequence settings that you want it to stop after a full 360, and the swipe direction and everything, and how many images to show per second. And autoplay if it's going to stand still from the beginning, or yeah, you can basically set it all up as you want to. And as I said, it's pretty straightforward with both the image sequence and the pinch and zoom feature. So just start to go into this and play around with the settings, and you will be able, it's very easy to preview everything you're doing, so you can always check what happens if you change a setting. And then you just, when you're happy with what you've done, you export it and you put it into your your design. The next feature I'm going to show you, which can be, which is another sort of feature, is online content. And to do what an online content actually is that um, it's actually just a in that object that you chosen in the InDesign template that you placed an object in that object, you will be able to link out to a URL of your choice. This is a really good way of keeping your maybe your ads updated in your apps, so that the ads never go out of date. You can just point it to a website which is which only use is to update the ads in the app. I'm going to show you how to do this. Here we go. I'm going to enter the size of the project and the name and description as well. Online for purpose. And here for the content size, I made it easy for myself. Here we go. I've already prepared in the template here that I want this online content to cover the whole screen when the iPad is in portrait. So what I'm actually doing now is that I know that the size of the iPad in portrait is 768 times 1024 up here. So it's really easy to put in the content size because I know what the content size is from the beginning. So the width 768 times 1024. And I click next. And here I choose online content as the feature. And here is where I upload an image which is going to show if the user is offline. So if the user is offline, he's going to see this image instead of the web page you've been pointing to. And I prepared an image here, and it simply just says, please make sure this device is online to view this page. This is just for demo purpose, but I would probably put in another ad or just maybe a logo or something on that vertical for a better user experience. And once I uploaded the image, I just click save. And now it's finished to upload. And here is where I set it all up. I click settings, and here I can choose background image and background color as well, but I'm not going to do that now because it doesn't really matter for this feature. And here I'm going to click under offline mode. There's a button called show, and I just click that. First of all, URL for online content. This is the address to the site that I want the user to see in the app. And the next thing I need to fill in, so for this one I've chosen to show it magplus.com. And this next option is URL to image for online check. And this basically means that this is an URL to an image on the same that is linked in the same URL as you're linking to. So I made it easy for myself, and I prepared this. This is an image that is placed on the MagPlus server. So it's basically just I link to www.magplus.com, and the image I'm linking to is placed on www.magplus.com/ something something and image.jpg or png. This is just for the app something to download to make sure the app is online. And once I'm done with this, everything looks good here. All the settings looks good. I just click export. I'm gonna wait for it to download. Here we go. Gonna open InDesign again, and here's my box I've drawn for this purpose, and I've made it an HTML object under object type, and I want to point to the build I just created, which is called build 1 in this case. And here's just the image of the layout, which this is the index file, and these are just the assets which the index file is pointing to. So I place the index file in here, and I click fast review. So first of all, it's going to show this image, and then it's going to go online to show the web page. So this is a really good way of, as I said, linking in ads or whatever web page you wish to link in. The next page, the next feature I'm gonna show you is web feed. Here in Feature Builder. And as I said before, it's basically just a way to bring in a feed from a blog or whatever web page you wish. And what you do is that you click the web feed button, and here you enter the name and the size of your project. It doesn't really matter for this type of project, but it's good to put in the size because you can always use the scale to box feature in the plugin for this one. But I recommend putting in the correct size that you're going to use, because then these settings are going to be so much easier for you to set up. And once you've done this, you click next, but I'm not going to do this in this case because I've prepared a web feed feature here, which I can access from here. And here I've once again I've linked to magplus.com/feed, and I've decided to bring in 10 items for the feed to check. And once I'm happy with this, I can show you what you actually can do here. Under settings, if you click settings, you can change the theme, you can change the color of the headline, and you can change a lot of stuff, the font again, and how you want the layout actually to be. So this is what it's going to look like. It's just a gray, here we go. So here's my feed, and if I click on a post here, I'm able to bring up the post in full size. So I'm going to place this in in my design now. So just click export. And here I've got my web feed, and as I said, I've prepared the size of this and everything, but I'm going to show you how to use the scale contents to fit block feature as well. So I've downloaded the file and I connected it to the block. Downloads. There we go. And then I'm just going to do a fast review for you now to see here. Here we have it. And as you can see, I forgot to select no A layers. I need to deactivate the A layer before I can touch it. And here you can click the blog post. You bring it up like this, and you can go back. This is a really nice way of maybe have just a link out to your blog or whatever you wish in your design. And as I said, I was talking about the scale contents to fit block. Now I've got that selected here, and if I make this smaller and do a review again, you'll see that I made the HTML object really small this time. But why I thought that you should always make it the correct size from the beginning in the feature builder is because you can actually choose the font size here under options for the feature, and you can so it's a pretty good way of getting it all correct from the beginning. And the last thing I'm going to show you today is actually new image on rotate, which is a really good way of showing a new image, one image for when the iPad is held in portrait, and one image for when the iPad is held in landscape. And this, you can actually use this for a lot of cool stuff, but I'm just going to show you a very simple example of how to use this. So I've got my object here, right here, and I've linked it to an index file, an HTML file. I've actually posted this on our forum, getsatisfaction.com/magplus, and if you search for new image on rotate, you will be able to find this example that I'm playing around with and put in your own images to change the background. So for this example, I've just put in, I selected resize on rotate, and what this actually does is that it calls, it receives a call from the HTML and JavaScript to change image. And you can use this for a lot of more stuff, like changing full layouts of a design if you're really good at HTML. But for beginners, I recommend just using this one because it's a really easy way to change the whole layout. And this is a extremely boring example, but just to be clear about it, I've chosen a brown JPEG image to be in portrait, and when I change to a landscape, it changes to a red JPEG. And we can go in and look at this HTML object that I've linked to. New image on rotate, here we go. And here I got the index files and everything. And here are my two images that I've linked to. And you can upload your own images if you wish, for vertical and for horizontal. As I said, this is a really easy way of changing the whole layout of your design. Well, I think that's it for now. I hope you have enjoyed this short lecture, but as I said, I recommend just going to Feature Builder and just play around with all the features that we have here. And you can download them, the HTML files that you download. You can always go in and edit afterwards. If you're not happy, you can put in your own, if you're pretty good at HTML, I think you can use this and make them your own afterwards. Yes, if you have any questions, just go to getsatisfaction.com/magplus, or you can go to our Facebook page, facebook.com/magplus, and you have a support tab there, and you can ask us questions about HTML or whatever feature, and we'll do our best to help you out. So, thank you all for listening, and have a good day, everyone.